I want to start this video saying that while I was reading this book, I keep thinking about how grateful I am to have my sister and that I empathize a lot with the author because I know that this problematic of the hate to women without reason um, can affect every woman, and as the author says in the book, her sister has the bad luck, if we can say it in that way, to meet uh, meet the wrong guy. So I can say it changed my mind because I've been always very supportive with feminism, but I can say that while reading this book, I reflected a lot, and yes, I like a lot the book. So, answering the first question about moments that we often ignore, I could recognize a way of exercising violence when I read the part of Manolo, where he was saying that he often saw Angel near Liliana, almost like he was her shadow. So Liliana already broke up with him, but he was still hanging around her. So also there was a part in the book where say that the risk increase when the victim try to leave their aggressor. So after 3 months, it's supposed that the danger decrease, and after 1 year, um, we can say that the victim is not in danger anymore. And as a society, we normalize this type of behaviors because we are surrounded by these ideologies, and as we analyze in the course, the cultural violence it's really hard to identify because we as a woman we grow up listening that if a boy do this or do that means that he love us, so we tend to accept these ideologies because we never think in a critical way. There was also a testimony from Liliana's friends, where she was saying that one day Liliana's arrived with discomfort and with pain because Angel had sexually abused her, and at why I know in back then it was not questioned abuse in the relationships because they thought that it was normal and that it was an obligation if they were already a couple. So that's also a way of exercising violence. Also, I could reflect how indifference and silence can worsen the situation, and as we can see in the book, the people that surrounded Liliana used to think that Angel was very jealousy and that it was just couples troubles, but that's exactly what puts in danger the victim. If they don't feel listened or if they feel lonely, then there is no one who can validate their experiences. Therefore, it's more difficult for the victim to seek for help. I think that their lack of intervention wasn't necessarily malicious or motivated by the desire of not interfere a lot. I think it was because of the normalization of Angel's behavior. However, these decisions make that Liliana's face this situation alone. Throughout the whole story, we can see very clear that Angel couldn't accept the decision of Liliana to leave him and break up with him. What seems to bother him not only the fact that Liliana's take the decision to move on, it was the fact that Liliana was claiming for her autonomy. This also reflects a idea or a view of masculinity based on possession and aggression. Um, we can see that the violence starts when the aggressor thinks that they has the right to decide over the decision or over the whole life of the victim, or when he thinks that the rejection can threaten his identity or the power or the right they are supposedly to have over the victim. After reading this book, I think that preventing violence goes beyond punishing the aggressors once the harm is done. It also requires to learn to recognize signs of violence, just like emotional manipulation, um, sexual abuse, or harassment that are often normalized in relationships. In addition to this, I think that it's also important to believe in the victims' experiences so they can build a network where they feel protected. Because when the victim doesn't find friends, family, or even institutions where they can be listened to, it's when the violence can escalate and end in these massive situations. However, I believe that the most important lesson of the whole book is that Cristina refuses to left Liliana in statistics. Cristina recovers Liliana's letters or memories, even testimonies from the friends that used to know her. So we get to know an intelligent and funny and really brave young girl. And this is very significant for me because we often just see the violent cases or the title of the news, and this book refuses to let Liliana's identity and humanity just in an statistic.